Okay, well, let's talk through some stuff that's going on in the labor market. We've touched on this in the past, but I think the data just keeps sitting in front of you and screaming at you. And really what we're talking about is going into market intelligence and the issues or the concerns that these rising graduates are facing with larger and larger unemployment. And the more I think about this, the more I'm like, what opportunities are there for 7 to 9 figure entrepreneurs and business owners? Because I switched from like, oh, that's an interesting data point. Maybe it's AI and we can kind of talk through all of that in the numbers. But I think it's more of like, well, what does this mean? How can we capitalize on this? And, what are we planning on doing to maybe capitalize on a labor market that's very difficult for new grads? So just to frame up, we've got a chart here that we're going to show. This is going to be from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And this just shows the 2019 average unemployment rate by recent college grads, and other college grads are at 3.25%, just over 2%. And then now you look at 2025 through July, that recent college grads is up to 4.6%. So as a percentage basis, it's up about 50%, which is crazy in the last 6 years. And then the other college grads up to 2.4%. Now, the young non-college educated workers up from 5.9 to 6.4. So that is also up about 7-8%. So not nearly the increase. So there's definitely something going on here. There's a lot of hypothesis. I know we've talked in the past that perhaps it's AI taking a lot of these, entry-level jobs that are maybe not, don't require, a lot of experience. And it's kind of like, well, data entry or just analysis, but now AI is better than humans at that. But this is definitely, there's something here. So what is your first instinct, Jim, to this? And then we'll kind of talk about some thoughts we have on how we can capitalize as business owners.
As far as causes, I think AI is a component. I think that there's a lot of big companies that are feeling and seeing opportunities to hire less and use AI to get more done within their company. I also feel there's something across the board in companies where they're holding back. They're a little nervous about things. And even though it seems like old news, tariffs are still not old news. And this has still been kind of an ongoing thing. And even though we've had resolution with some tariffs and with some countries, there's still unresolved matters there. And it makes companies that especially have an international footprint to be nervous, especially if they have to worry about tariffs and costs. Either it's stuff they have to buy or stuff that they're actually selling. So for those reasons, I think there's companies a little nervous and holding back on hiring. On a personal level, I've had friends tell me their kids who've graduated from very good universities having real struggles getting jobs. And the jobs they're being offered are low income, more basic, menial type jobs, if I can use the word menial, not in a disrespectful way, but just jobs that they wouldn't expect out of college that they would get and not salaries that they would expect. So there is something going on there, and that creates, I think, a talent pool out there of young people that maybe entrepreneurs can tap into.
Yeah. And I've got some anecdotal similar stories of a recent college grad that I know, and he was hoping to get an entry-level job at maybe $60,000 or $70,000, and now he's just trying to get a job. And he said that he'll go down to the lowest $40,000, moving back home with his parents. Like, he can't afford it, but he's just. And this is, college grad. You can have a degree in 4 years, and it's just like you said, expectations. It's tough out there. And the AI piece is interesting because you look at Salesforce. Mark Benioff said, hey, 50% of the company's workload is going to be done by AI. You got Meta with Zuckerberg, Klarna CEO, Duolingo, JP Morgan, managers told to avoid hiring, Amazon, Goldman Sachs. But on the flip side, you've got Jensen Huang, from NVIDIA. He's kind of said the exact opposite, that, hey, yes, there's going to be a lot of huge increase in productivity, but there's going to be a lot of new jobs that are, going to be produced. And think of it as the ATMs. Those were designed to eliminate the teller position. But in reality, there's actually way more tellers because the banks actually expanded way more. So it'll be interesting to see how this actually plays out, because, I think that the CEOs, yes, that's the highlight. That is essentially the title of the article. But we're in an environment where, like you mentioned, from a market perspective, where you're incentivized to shore up your margin structure, and AI is a buzzword. AI gives you tailwinds. So if you're a CEO trying to pump your stock, why would you not be making press releases about how I'm going to have a leaner cost structure? I'm going to invest more into AI. I'm going to improve my operating margins. I'm going to be able to return more capital to shareholders. So of course you're incentivized to say those things. The question is that what really is happening? happening, or are these just talking points to help juice the returns on your stock, which is obviously very important if you're a publicly traded CEO?
And probably the truth falls somewhere in between.
Yeah. Yep. No, 100%. All right. A few other articles we're going to show here. This was a big article that went viral on LinkedIn. The entry-level job market is failing the class of 2025. So this was just kind of going through some of the data. Jim, you mentioned this outlines essentially that it's not just AI. There's tariff uncertainty. There was like kind of the no hire, no fire environment that people are kind of just stuck in the mud. And so, yeah, it says that there's kind of some other data points. And then the last chart we're going to show here, this is from August 1st. This just shows the unemployment rates for recent college graduates versus others. And so you'll see a huge spike here in this chart. That was during COVID, of course. Yep. So no one was hiring anybody during COVID. Right. But you could essentially see here that you can see there's starting to be a little bit of an uptick in these lines.
Maybe Peloton was hiring during COVID.
Yeah, Zoom was
hiring during COVID. A couple. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, interesting to see this spike go up. And, the media likes to take one moment in time and make it this huge thing, and things are fluid. Yep. What I would say is I see this as an opportunity both for our company and others to go find young talent, to bring in young talent who are looking for a job, and you can get them excited to come in. The pay isn't as high as it would have been a year or two ago. And the other flip side of that is I would tell young people or parents who are trying to coach or mentor their young people is this is a huge opportunity because the AI world has just started. And if I think about the young people in our organization, the advisors in our organization, the two things that I think would put them ahead is the technical skill, and that ties in with using AI, and client communication. If you can do those two things, you'll move up in our company very fast. And I think that's true of almost any job in the world. If you can get good at AI and technical skills and you can communicate well, you will move much faster no matter what university you went to, what degree you have, or where you came from. So this is kind of setting the bar even for people who maybe haven't had the best education or the best credentials to move ahead in any company.
Yeah, level of playing field. Yeah, I agree. There's a position that we're thinking about posting that normally we look for someone with maybe 2 to 4 years of experience. And I was talking with the hiring manager here, and this job is going to get posted in the next 3-4 months. And I think we're going to try to actually open it up to also recent college grads, because to your point, I think we may be able to get a really, really good high-end, talent really in here at a cost-effective rate, and then just really invest a lot in building this professional out in-house. And it'll be interesting to see if, like you said, is this just like is this a broader trend? Because there's the whole idea of like, well, why is AI better for society? And part of the argument is disinflation, and that there's so much productivity gains that the cost of goods and services are actually going to go down over time. And like, is this the first shot that's essentially been fired? Or in 2 years, are we going to be laughing at this point in time that I'm even mentioning this? But what if there's a world where now like this is where it's starting to have a reset in salary expectations, because now it's like there's just not as much demand. Therefore, if you're entering the market, you don't really have a whole lot of leverage. You just need a job. So that pushes the entry wages down, which, right, if we think through the cost of not just us as a service-based business, but even if you're selling burgers at McDonald's, labor is a cost that is very hard to amortize, and it only goes up. It's hard to unwind the cost of labor. Yep. So that's why it's really hard to envision your Big Mac ever getting cheaper, because as long as you have labor and minimum wages, it's only going one direction. It's up and to the right. Right. And so that's why it's interesting to see if this could be the start of a broader trend in disinflation. Again, I don't know if I would put me in that camp, but I think that's part of the promise or our hope with AI, is that right now people are only doing maybe more impactful work, more empowering work, and a lot of the stuff that's lower level, so to speak, more menial, as you would say, gets outsourced to AI.
Yeah, and one other thing I was thinking of as you were saying that is the advice that Warren Buffett gave when I forget which shareholder meeting in the last couple of years, and he was asked the question from someone like, what advice would you give to a young person in the workplace? And he said, pay attention to who you're working with, because the people who you will learn and grow from, that's who you want to be around. Don't be worried so much what you get paid. Don't be worried so much about what you're doing. Worry about who's going to be around you and how are you going to learn and grow. And that will make all the difference. And he said it made all the difference in his life. The flip side of that is when you're running and building a business like our listeners are, how can you create an environment where someone wants to work with you? The best people want to work at your firm because they're going to be around people they can learn and grow from. And that's a cultural thing. And that's also making sure that people you have in your organization are top notch, or as I like to say, A players.